First steps on the Cape Wrath Trail. Long bus journey from Bealach this morning. Got me into Fort William about 4:20. And I've just got the 5:30 ferry across to Camusnagaul. So the plan tonight is to have a slow walk just to get into the Cornach Glen and find somewhere to pitch. The bag's a bit heavy, which is a bit of a concern, but the peace and the quiet on this side is lovely. Lovely to see a bit of snow on the top of Ben Nevis, the clouds just on top. Fort William over Loch Linnie and a cruise ship on the loch. Lovely evening. So I've been walking for about 2:20 from the ferry. It's a hard road when you're racing against the time. So there's been about a dozen cars. I've been, it's 8 p.m. now. I've just reached the stones at Cornach Glen turn off, so I'm going to try and find somewhere to pitch up the Cornach Glen because I'm turning off the road there now. So that's the end of the long first day, a journey of train from Berwick upon Tweed to Fort William, which all connections were on time. Bit of a long walk in there, 2 hours, so it's 8:42 now. And I found a lovely little camp, although there are some midges, but I'll just show you around. So I'm next to the river corner. I've got the magic tent up there so far. There's the Durston next mid. Looking pretty cool. I'll swing you around and show you my setup. So there's the Durston setup. I've got a few extra pegs in just to keep it down to the ground for midges, but you can see a lovely location. Now I'll show you inside the tent. So this has been a godsend. That's the Grail water filter. I've already had a litre and it does about 10 litres a minute. It's really fast. So inside I've got the Parrier Thermodown quilt and I've got the Thermarest. It's probably a bit overkill, to be honest. And then I've got some clean clothes. I'm not going to bother with socks tonight. I'm going to air my feet because there's a few hot spots. I'm going to get myself some tea, some chocolate, and I'm going to have a porcini risotto, which I'm going to go and get the water now. So I'm literally having a hydration drink because I've lost an awful lot of salts on the way in. So I'll make sure I take that in and get a rest. Well, that's the end of day one. That's me tucked up in bed, ready for a sleep. It's a still night. It's a bit humid, but I have changed into bed clothes, as it were. Okay, we'll catch you in the morning. Good night. Good morning. This is day 2, really the first full day because yesterday was a travelling day. Not a bad night, no wind, a little bit of condensation in the tent because I'm in a dell next to the river, which is to be expected. Didn't sleep too well, never do on the first night of a wild camp. Any wild camper will tell you that. But it's a glorious morning and there's blue skies. And I've taken a bit of a leisurely morning to lay my kit out on the ground sheet and have a quick look of how I can pack things. I'll show you around. So I'm busy drying out the tent. A little trick I learned with pegs is just to peg the doors open. So yeah, nice and getting some air through. And very lucky to have such a lovely morning where I can lay my kit out and then repack and plan for the day. I'll run through my kit when I get home. At the minute there's just a few midges starting to nip through, and I need to get some porridge on and do my feet, which will be the last thing. But what a spot. and it's blue skies. Okay, so that's me packed up after a very relaxed morning. Glorious morning, it really is. So I've taken a bit of time, packed my stuff. Now the next stop is Glenfinnan. As ever guys, you know the rules, leave no trace. As you can see, nothing but a bit of flattened grass and all my stuff taken away. So I've been walking for just over 2 hours and stopped for a break in the Carnach Glen. I wish I had a bit more time to spend in the Carnach Glen because it's absolutely glorious. All the research I've done, people kind of come through fairly fast on a day. But to be honest, this place is magic. It really is. Stunning. Worth coming back to investigate. It really is lovely. A couple of hot spots on the blisters. A couple of hot spots on the feet, no blisters. So just spend a bit of time sorting those out. So this is the path that leads out of Carnach Glen, over the top through the mountain pass there towards Glenfinnan. Been on the go for about 4 hours with a little break. So I think you could do from the road at the start of the Carnach Glen to this turn off in about 3.5 hours quite comfortably. Anyway, I'm going to tackle this and then when I get to the top probably have something to eat. And there's the first mountain pass coming out of Carnach Glen, heading towards Glenfinnan. So there's the Glenfinnan forest. There has been a track after the mountain pass, the Bealach, although it's been a bit choppy and wet and slidey, but it is a path. Had a bit of an emergency repairs to do to the feet, blister under the little toenail and blister on the heel, which is ridiculous on day one. However, popped them and we're just going to push on. So we'll check in when we get past the Glenfinnan monument. What a view. Fantastic. So just come past the Glenfinnan monument, Jacobite monument there, and the car park was heaving. So much so that I couldn't really film. But I'm just heading towards the viaduct there now. So about 4k to Corryhully Bothy. Been a long day today, a lot on roads. Feet are sore. Legs are tired, pack still feels very heavy, but weather's been great, so not complaining really. I'll bring it back when we get close to the viaduct. There we are, just through the viaduct there. Looking splendid on a spring evening. So that's the end of the first full day. Made it to Corryhully Bothy along Glenfinnan, which is known affectionately as the electric Bothy because you can charge your phones and there's free electricity. They just ask for a wee donation. That's tonight's pitch down by the river. There's a few people here tonight, but I'm out the way. Yeah, unfortunately there's a lot of ticks about on the ground, so I'm just going to have a wander down and see if I can get somewhere to dip my feet and maybe a swim. So that's me, had a bit of a wash, bit of a dip really. Nice and refreshed, feet are sore and hot, but had to be a stealthy dip because there was a few people about and it was actually a bit of a skinny dip just to get everything washed and cleaned. I'm going to leave day 2 here. I'm going to go back, get some food, sort my gear out for tomorrow, read the stage book, and I'll catch up with you in the morning. Day 3, that's me leaving Corryhully Bothy a little bit later, about 10:30, because I've got a slower day today. I'm only heading for a Shiel Bothy, or a cool Bothy. Got a bit of a big mountain pass to do, so just going to take my time, expecting to take about 4 or 5 hours. Good camp spot last night, but the ticks were pretty bad, so I did a tick inspection, repacked my gear. A little bit dehydrated as well, the weather's quite humid, but not complaining about the weather in Scotland. It's been lovely. Okay, I'll get to the top, hopefully, and I'll check in then. Excuse the hair, I haven't got a comb, I haven't got a brush, I'm travelling light. Cheers! So there's our route up through the mountain pass there, and that drops us into Glenfinnan and Glen Dessary. So a bit of a climb, but we'll see how we get on. Climbing for about 50 minutes. You can see the top of the pass there. Looking quite foreboding with the dark clouds and little spots of rain. Just taking my time. And there's the view down Glenfinnan. Lovely stuff. So we're at the foot of the Bealach, the mountain pass, at the headwaters of the River Finnan, which is lovely to see, to be honest, and looking all the way down Glenfinnan. Marvellous, just lovely. Had a small shower of rain, got the pack cover on, put the phone in the waterproof case, electrics and dry bags, so pleased with a bit of discipline. Right, I'm going to attempt this Bealach. So that's the Bealach. I gave myself 2 hours from Corryhully Bothy up through Glenfinnan to this Bealach. It's taken me about an hour and 50, which is really good. For me, this is a point of no return, because literally once you enter Glenfinnan and Glen Dessary, you're into very quickly into Noidor, which is really tiger country. It's a bit dangerous, and so just going to take my time, see how far I get today. But yeah, what a privilege it is to be here. These hills are massive, just foreboding majesty of this is incredible. So yeah, that wasn't a bad climb up actually, it was steady away. So I'm just going to pick my way through down into Glen Dessary there now. So there's the top of the Bealach that we came over, and now literally just wound my way down there. I have to head down all the way down there now, but thankfully it's all downhill. Just stopped for a pepperoni. It's a bit of an animal. I've had some chocolate and some water. So enjoying today, actually enjoying it. Once I got over that Bealach and committed, feel good. So up there's the Bealach that we came down, and it's been a long torturous descent, but not too bad at all. A couple of interesting things. The rucksack started to make some very funny creaks and pops. There was a twang somewhere which was quite scary, so I've taken it off and have a look, and I can't see if there's anything wrong at all, but it is concerning. Just about to enter Glen, Dessary. It's still a lovely day, perfect for walking. Again, excuse the hair, I had the buff on because it was very warm. So yeah, I'm going to probably get to a cool bothy and just check all the gear over, because if I've got to walk back out there with a dodgy rucksack, that could be interesting. A little bit concerned, but at the minute I'm just going to push on a bit because I've had a check. So that's 4:10 on day 3, and I'm about half a mile away from a cool bothy, which is kind of where I wanted to be by this time today. Got a bit of hot spots on the feet. Rucksack seems okay. Ironically, I lost the bottom bit of my trekking pole in a bog, which is quite important when you've got a trekking pole tent, but I found it again. I don't know why it's come out, but it has, but just disconcerting. So I've just stopped for a very late lunch, and I don't know whether to try and bash on to Sourlies, which would save me a full day, or put me a day in front of myself. It's about 6.5 miles. I've got a little bit of chaffage, a little bit of chafing. So day 3, when you commit to it, rucksack wobbles, trekking poles go a little bit loose, blisters kick in, and then you get some chafing at the top of the legs. So I could stop now at a cool bothy and gather my thoughts and have a pretty easy wander tomorrow, or I could bash on, which potentially gives me a full rest day tomorrow. So I'm gonna have some food. I've got some Shiel Thai green curry and a Shiel bar, and I've just taken a half a hydration tablet because it is quite warm. Just dipping the feet in the water, you can probably hear it. So yeah, just need to have a think. I've seen this bridge on a few YouTube videos. I'm just kind of wondering if I chance it. It's probably a few years older and a lot more rickety than the last people who looked at it. Let's have a little go. Look at that for a wild swim spot. Glorious. So yeah, we've done it, I think. Let's just get across. 6 p.m. on day 3, and I've called it a day. I'm about a mile further on from a cool bothy. Got a lovely camp spot right in the middle, sort of in a gap in the forest next to the stream. It's a beautiful spot, so I'll show you around. As you can see, it's a lovely spot. There is rain focus for tonight, but look at that for a pitch. Lovely. And hopefully, all being well, in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna go in there and have a bit of a dip. I've got some soap leaves from my son Ben, which I'm going to use to get washed off. Then I'm going to have an orzo pasta eaten with my long handle spoon, which was given to me for Christmas by my son Toby. So you may be catching me on a swim. If not, I'll catch up with you later. So that's the end of day 3 for me. Mixed emotions coming over the top towards a cool, and the rucksack kind of rattling and creaking, and there was a pop, and I don't know what it was. Might have just been a cord strap. And then losing the bottom end of my walking pole, which was a bit fraught. But we found it again. Tents up. I've had a lovely wash there, which was really nice. So I'm just going to have an early night. Feet are not great. Some blisters, some hot spots. Some chafing at the top of the thighs as well. So I've washed everything out. I've washed everything. I'm now just going to have some fire pot, auto pasta bolognese, and literally have an early night. There's rain forecast for 10 o'clock tonight, and it's quite miserable tomorrow, so I might just get up sharp, skip breakfast, and try and get to Sourlies Bothy and see what the crack is from there. Good morning from a wet Glen Dessary. Rained a lot through the night, still not sleeping great. That's three nights of not sleeping brilliantly. Midges are out this morning after the rain and the damp there, and it's been very mild as well. So I've packed up. The Durston tent's brilliant because you can actually take the inner down from the inside, so you're left with a big top, which is great because that means you can pack up on a ground sheet with a shelter outside and keep the inner dry. Fantastic innovation. I've just had a cup of coffee. Sourlies Bothy is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, so I'm going to push on to there, get my porridge and another cup of coffee there. Then I'll sort my kit out because it's a bit frantically put in, and see what the crack is for the rest of the day. Lovely pitch last night, nice wash, nice food. Wish I could sleep a bit better, but I'm hoping to see that fantastic view of Loch Linnie when you come over the top, which is about an hour away. Unfortunately there's a bit of clag, but we'll see. If there's a view, I'll bring you back then. There it is, the first sight of Loch Linnie. Down to Sourlies Bothy for a hot cup of coffee, big bowl of porridge, a couple of salty snacks and a few indigestion tablets. It's rained constantly this morning, but this glen's amazing. Just had a bit sing-song to myself to get over the hill where you come through there. Just glorious like. Yeah, I enjoyed it this morning. It wasn't easy, but what a privilege to be here. Not an easy morning from Glen Dessary to get to this point of the pass, but that's one of the views I came to see. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a shame it's a bit clagged in, be actually it's quite moody. Quite like that, it's quite atmospheric. I'm tempted to do a little sing-along. I saw the light fade from the sky. On the wind I heard a sigh, as the snowflakes cover my fallen brothers. I will say this last goodbye. Night is now falling, so ends this day. The road is a-calling, and I must away. There she blows, Sourlies Bothy. Beautiful spot. What an atmospheric place. Right on the loch. So it's a cup of coffee for me, bit of food, but isn't that glorious? Beautiful. Just got to find the water source. We're coming inside Sourlies Bothy. Oh, it smells smoky. Lovely sleeping platform there. Toasty, toasty, toasty. Notebooks, another sleeping platform. Platform on top. Fire, there's the watcher of Sourlies, look. Aye, how are you getting on? And then there we go. So that's me leaving Sourlies at 1 o'clock on day 4. Technically this was the end of my day 4, but it seems a bit early to stop, and I think the weather's going to clear, so I'm going to push on for a few hours. Lovely views. Spin you right round. Just lovely. tide's still in, so I need to make a decision. There's a couple of guys just gone before us who seem to know what they're doing regarding the height, so I might tell them, but otherwise I'll make my own decisions. Okay, catch up with you later. So that was quite interesting. I left Sourlies on the receding tide, so I walked around the headland and to find the river Carnach, and this is the one I've been dreading because it's like bogs of doom. It's a nightmare, but to be honest, I found the river fairly quickly over shingle, and then I stuck to the right hand side of the bank, which was gravel. I had 2 small bogs to navigate. Then I was at the Carnach bridge, and now I'm heading along the Carnach river. That wasn't as bad as it was this morning through Glen Dessary. So yeah, I was dreading that, but actually come through it really quickly and quite cleanly. So now it's to find the Lord of the Rings camp spot and make a decision whether to push on for Barrisdale or settle there in this clag. So this astroturf across the bogs along the river Carnach feels like it's cheating. So used to being soaked and hot and sweaty, but this is lovely. Thank you. That bit along the Carnach river where the forest sort of birches and that is so sketchy, so dangerous. I don't think that would be passable with snow and ice. It's so dangerous. Sometimes you're just a leap of faith to get across onto boulders, and you're right along craggy sort of river banks, and if you slip you've got no chance. It really is down to less than 1 mile per hour when you come along there, so really give yourself plenty of time to get past there because it's dangerous. So just coming out of the that forested bit on the Carnach, honestly so sketchy. You cannot film. I had 2 falls, one onto my walking poles, but thankfully no damage. It's scary. Don't know what to say, to be honest. Just take your time if you come that way. Really sketchy. So this spot was another one of my bucket listers. Massive sheer rock face with a lovely sort of dipping spot in front of you and a lovely camp spot. I'm not sure why people need to make so many fire pits, like kind of wrecks the joint, but never mind. I'll get some shots a bit later. I'm just going to make a decision on whether to push on to Barrisdale, which is a massive climb, or just call it a day here. It's been raining all day, I'm soaked through, I'm tired, and I'm half a day ahead of where I want to be, so there's no reason why I can't just stop here. So there's the pitch for tonight. Kind of Lord of the Rings-ish. It's pretty lovely. It's been a cold, wet day today, and I'm cold and wet, so I'm having an early finish. I'm going to get the inner tent in, and I'm going to get some down jackets on and things like that because it's really cold. So at the minute I'm just using the tent as a top, literally throwing all my stuff in so I can get a hot meal. And now I'm going to set up the inner and get some water, and I'm just going to get warm because it's really claggy and cold. Lovely spot though. Privileged to be here. So that's the end of day 4 for me, and I'm camped along the River Carnach, a wonderful place where I said I wanted to camp, and I made it here today. It's a walk across to Barrisdale tomorrow, which is a campsite with electricity. I don't know if there's a shower there, but I hope there is. Some reflections on today. The walk from Upper Glen Dessary to Sourlies was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. It took me about 4 hours with a heavy pack. Very wet, very slippy, muddy, wet, and my boots got wetted out fairly quickly on there. It's rained constantly all day, and that's I wouldn't say it's put a damper on things, but it's made it slightly more difficult. But thankfully the weather gods have stopped the rain tonight, and I've managed to get pitched up fairly dry. I'm drying in the wind there now. I've had a lovely pot of hot Shiel food just to warm me up, and a couple of salty snacks. It's hard to put into words because sometimes you're just hyper vigilant that your kit is going to give out and you're stranded in the middle of nowhere. So you hear a pop on your rucksack and you think, oh god, that's it, I'm stuck here. Your boots sort of slip to one side and you think, oh, they've ripped, and you're double checking. You have a bit of packing OCD every time you hit a bothy and you come out of there, and you have to look about. Same when you're packing in the morning. But to be honest, the sheer magnificence of this place, and the majesty and the huge hills really put things into perspective. It just makes you feel sort of you're walking through a timeless land. If I'm honest, it's too quiet. There's not enough wildlife. There's some cuckoos calling, there's some meadow pipits, a couple of stone chats, a few birds. But actually I haven't seen one bird of prey in 4 days. This is the land of eagles. Haven't seen anything. It's too quiet. Anyway, I'm stood by an old ruin which is easily missed at the River Carnach, and I just kind of wonder what happened in this old Shiel and why people left and how they made a living, and what a place to live. I'll leave you with a shot of that. I'm drying off now in the wind. I'm warmed up a bit. I'm going to try and peel these wet boots off and try and dry my socks. And once again, please excuse the bad hair. It's about 5 days without a shower and constantly raining on today. So it's a good job it's a 10 for 1. Right, thanks a lot. I shall see you on the morrow. So this is old ruin next to where I'm camped. It's easily missed, but what a small place really. You kind of wonder if it was just a Highland refuge or a little shieling or just a little bothy to keep warm out the weather, because it is very remote here. Interesting though. And I'll leave you with a shot of the campsite. I shall just zoom in. That's pretty cool. Day 5, constant rain again all night, a battle to keep everything dry. Once again, going to try and pack up in a confined space. They're taking everything down inside and trying to pack under a sort of tent top. Well, continuation of day 5, the morning of day 5, and I've had a bit of a catastrophic gear failure. The thermarest itself is alright, but underneath the tent ground sheet and the tent floor has leaked through, soaking the thermarest, and I can't tell you just how disappointed I am with that, because that was a specially purchased ground sheet and this is supposed to be, I don't know what. But anyway, I'm going to try and pack up using the thermarest as a waterproof mat, put everything on that, and then I'll come back to you in 5 minutes. But it's panic stations now because everything's just wet through, soaked through. Give me a break! So that was an interesting half an hour, packing up in the rain. I can't tell you how devastated I am that the ground sheet of both the Durston tent and the Quint Craft by ground sheet has leaked through. Just a bit worried about that. I can actually see a leech on the floor. That's how wet it is in here. It's coming from my right heel. So, positives. I've packed up in the dry. The down sleeping bag is dry. The down jacket for sleeping in is dry. The tent clothes are dry. They're all in dry bags inside a bin liner, inside the good old rucksack, which is good. There are some wet things, namely the day bag, but that's not critical. The thermarest mat is wet on the out, and I don't know if that's waterproof or soaks water in. I need to check that. I'm just going to dodge that leech before ourselves. Confused there now. Oh, coming back for me. Obviously the ground sheet in the inner tent. So what I've done is swapped the dry bag and put the thermarest in there, and I'm now going to fold up the inner tent and do that. And then the plan is to get to Barrisdale, then have a recap, see if I can get stuff dried, because there's a bothy there. There's electric there, so I can get charged up. I've got power banks, so that's not a problem. So yeah, a bit frustrated. My dream camp spot has turned into a bit of a nightmare this morning. But while we're on the subject, let me just tell you about the realities of packing up in the rain. So every time your head or your back touches the side of that, the condensation and the wet soaks your back or your head. Then you'll sort of have a bit swear, and Siri, obviously listening in, will then say, I can't understand something in Arabic, you're offline. And then that'll fire off. And then the rain will stop and it'll go to about 1,000,000 degrees in here and you'll be sweating. And then, just as you've got your backside in the air trying to stuff things in a rucksack, you've got to go to the toilet and it's belting down the rain. So the realities of a multi-day trip in Scotland: fantastic when the weather's on your side, difficult to manage when it's not. So really think about dry bags, think about stuff you don't need, think about stuff you do need, which is critical: dry bags, bin liners inside your rucksacks. So need to think if what the plan is. So I'll come back to you later on. I'm probably just going to blast up this hill, Leachy's back, and then see where we are. The other thing I forgot to mention about the realities of packing up on a multi-day trip in Scotland is every buckle and strap catches on the other one. It's generally behind your back when you're contorting. Spirits are not down, disappointed but not down. I'm going to take you outside and show you the morning, because it's actually stopped raining. There's a good bit of breeze, so I'm just letting things air a bit. I need to get my shoes on and socks, and I'm not even going to bother putting dry socks on. My boots are still soaked through from yesterday. My feet are not bad, so I'll just have to put the wet socks on. But I'm going to take you outside and show you, and I think I'll just steady away now. All the critical stuff's in dry bags inside the rucksack under the top tent, as it were. And I might just chill out now and have a bowl of porridge, because Panic Stations is off. Barrisdale's about 3.5 hours top end. So even if I set away, it's 7:15 in the morning now. So even if I set away at 9, I'm going to be there for lunchtime or just after. So I'll take you outside and show you around, because it is still magically beautiful. So there she is this morning, low-lying clouds, but there is a break in them. There's a wonderful cliff face and wash place, absolutely beautiful. Look at that bad boy up there, and there's some breaks there. So there is a wind blowing and it's coming through the tent. So I think I'll get my socks, boots, trousers and gaiters on, and then I think I'll make myself a bowl of porridge and then have a wash up. Okay. Right, last update for the morning of day 5. Had a break in the weather for about an hour. It didn't rain, it's rained again now. But I had a bowl of porridge, which was great, and then a hydration drink. I didn't bother with coffee because it's kind of, it's a diuretic, and have been a bit dehydrated, so I didn't bother with that. One thing about this trip, this trail, is it really exposes the modern human. So we've kind of forgotten how to think, which is crazy. So you've got a problem, you would just ask for help, or you would search online and get it sorted. But out here, there's no access, and you have to use the human ingenuity to solve the problem, which is brilliant actually. I'd kind of forgotten that humans were meant to think. So I've used all sorts of techniques, but basically dismantled the tent from the inside, and I'll show you what I've done just now. Okay, so that's the inner tent which was wet through. So all I've done is really opened the bottom of the tent door where the draft's coming through and using the air to blow through it, and that's 99% dry now. This is the thermarest. It's still a little bit damp, but the same principle of just letting the air run over it. And a sneaky trick which I've done for the ground sheet, it's working, is I've just lifted it off the ground to get the air underneath. Obviously me kneeling on it isn't helping, but yeah, so we've got away with it, I think. I'm gonna have a wet ground sheet, but I can get that dried as soon as the sun comes out, if it ever does. And I think that inner tent is 99% there, which is brilliant. I don't think the weather's going to break, so I'm actually going to pack up and make a run for Barrisdale, and I hope there's a drying room there, which would just be a bonus. Well, that's me been walking for about an hour and a half since I broke camp down at the Lord of the Rings campsite. Took a variation on what should be known as the Wallace route from that ruin and the Lord of the Rings campsite up to the pass. So I just basically contoured round. Probably took about half an hour longer than Robin Wallace's route, but to be honest, I just worked on the principle of not losing altitude. It's rained constantly, just stopped there, so that's why I've got the camera out. It looks fantastic, so I'll spin you around and show you the view before I head over the pass of Mam Underlane. So right down in that bottom corner, about there, is where I was camped. The Wallace route kind of comes around the back up here, and I contoured round. Basically I just took the wrong lump of rock. But anyway, let's have a little spin around where it's not peeing down the rain. Fairly dramatic stuff. So that's me through the pass of Mam Underlane, coming down towards Barrisdale Bay, which you can just see behind us there. The weather's improving, it's lovely. I've just stopped for a pizza topping lunch, which was pepperoni and cheese and a little bit of cheese and pickle, which was nice. So the plan is to get to Barrisdale and just take a short day, I think. Try and get the ground sheet dried out, make sure that everything's aired and fresh when the weather's like this. I've got the time, so I'm going to take it, but I shall step out the way and show you the view to Barrisdale Bay. Made it to Barrisdale Bothy and campsite. Struggled to find a pitch actually, because it's so gravelly and so stony that it was really difficult to get the four corners of the Durston tent in. So not feeling the love for Dan Durston's tent today after the leak last night and this morning, and then struggling to get a pitch this afternoon. A little bit demoralised. The walk through the Bealach, Mam Underlane, was lovely. You've probably seen some pictures coming through. So, this is the end of stage 3 according to the Cicerone guidebook. The next stage is Barrisdale to Shiel Bridge. I'm not sure if I'm going to try and do that in one. I'm going to see if the tent bathtub leaks again tonight. If it does, then I need to get the Shiel Bridge to see if I can get a patch or a repair or something. I do have a repair kit in my emergency kit, so what I might do is, if it does leak, I will get the head torch on one side and see if there's a pinprick. That might be what it is. There might be a prick in it. Well, there's probably a prick in it. But there might be another pinprick. I'll show you around. It's a bonny campsite. The weather's held off this afternoon. I've managed to get everything dried. I'm just going to have a lovely sort of meal, and I'll show you around there now. So that's the bothy there with the kitchen and electric to get things charged up, which is dead handy. It's £5 a night to use the campsite, and the ground's soaking, absolutely soaking. Anyway, some beautiful hills all around us, and as we come round to it now, this is the pass that we came down. So that was lovely. Beautiful, beautiful hills all around us. And there's the tent today. I'll step back so you can see it. So I've got everything aired out, I've got everything dried again. Mind-blowing frustration of why both the ground sheet and the tent leaked. I can't just get my head around that. Really demoralised when you've still got 190 miles to go. Right, I shall leave that there. That's the end of day 5. Tough mental test today. Don't underestimate that section from Sourlies to Barrisdale. There's a hell of a lot of climbing, and it's a bit of a bog fest as well. So if you're going to do that, be prepared that it's a tough day. Okay, I'll say goodnight for today and I'll check in tomorrow. Morning, start of day 6, leaving Barrisdale for Kinlochhourn, and then see how far we get beyond there. Tent was okay last night, didn't wet out. There was a tiny damp patch, but not too bad. However, this morning charged my phone and I've lost all my OS data. The gear failures just continue. I don't understand why I've lost my routes off the OS app. Perhaps I turned it off last night to save a bit of energy, and all the data's been lost. So I'll try and get to somewhere where I can get some Wi-Fi, which might be Kinlochhourn, and see where we are. But not that I'm navigating with my phone 100%, but it's so handy just to double check where you are. Yeah, not down too much, just plagued by bad luck and a bit of porridge stuck in the throat. Catch you soon. So that's me been going about 3 hours from Barrisdale. I'm about a mile outside of Kinlochhourn. I'm just about to hit the rhododendrons of death because they're soaking, and as usual it's raining. It's a funny thing, like, because even when the sun's out it's raining. You're casting a shadow and it's raining. And it's been like walking in a pressure cooker today. The humidity's off the scale and the temperature's really, really mild. Midges are not bad, which is good. I still haven't got any GPX files back, but I haven't had any signal. So I'm going to push on now to the cafe at Barrisdale, beg your pardon, at Kinlochhourn, and hopefully I can see what the crack is there. So this is the start of the roadies, and it's quite difficult with a pack on because it throws water down your back and on your head and stuff like that. So with it being very wet, I'm going to put the phone away. Morning, Thursday the 11th, the next day from leaving Barrisdale. Had that bit of a wander along Loch Linnie, which isn't easy. It's about 1,500 feet of climbing over 6.5 miles, carrying your pack. So it's a canny morning before you start. So I stopped at the Kinlochhourn B&B and tea room. Managed to get Wi-Fi and got my GPX files sorted. No idea what happened to that. They also had a drying room, so I decided just to stop there, use the drying facilities, and grab a main meal and a breakfast this morning. And then, good decision because the sun's out and it did rain constantly yesterday. I also managed to use plasters to dress blisters and things like that. So today is a big day. It's going through the saddle and the Falcon Ridge. So I'm just away at 8:15 and I'm just going to take my time. So there, just in the distance at the foot of the hill, is the Kinlochhourn B&B and tea room. Very, very helpful couple. Heavily worked, like they're putting in long days. But basic food, but nice, lovely clean beds. Very helpful. Yep, can't fault them. And coming down, that's where you come into Kinlochhourn from Barrisdale, and there's Loch Linnie. And through the bars is where we're heading. Up there, I don't know if you can see them, but pylons is there, and we're heading up there today. sometimes you have to remember to look back. That's gorgeous, isn't it? So that's a steady climb of about 45-50 minutes out of Kinloch tea room. You come out on the tarmac road and then take a left over the track, the gravel track. It's pretty much straight up for the first sort of 40 minutes. So you get a bit of a lather on. But look at this, yay! Blue skies, woo woo! So I'm chuffed about that, got the top off. Just feeling like, okay, steady away today. It's great having a bit of sunshine. God, what a spirit booster. This is the first part of the pass coming out of Kinloch. I think it's called Camusnagaul. God, it's beautiful. Really lovely. What views. I mean, the pylons don't do it justice, like, but anyway, the views are just glorious. Well, I've reached the Stalker's Hut at the start of the traverse up to the saddle and the Forcan Ridge. It's weird. I've watched videos before in planning for this, and this little Stalker's Hut just sticks in my mind. I've seen John from Hounds of Howgate staying there. I've seen Becky from Girl Outdoors, Sarah Fit for Adventure, and to be honest, it's just unreal seeing it. It's a silly thing, isn't it? It just makes it great. It makes these things real when you see them. We'll have a little look inside, see if there's any messages. So I've had a quick look inside, and looks like the backside's been replaced. Floor's a bit rickety. I wouldn't fancy sleeping in there, so I'm pleased I didn't make for there last night. There are a few camping spots within 100 metres sort of radius of here, and on a day like today it's fabulous. So I'm going to try and ford the river now and then try my ascent. So after leaving the Stalker's Hut, you climb round a fairly well defined path which just traverses around the side. Then you come up towards the saddle, Forcan Ridge, Bealach, Corryhully again, I think, and then Skirnacine, Munro there. Hats off to Mark Dack. When he did the Cape Wrath, he just popped up there to bag a Munro, which is pretty cool. So well done, Mark. So yeah, weather's fantastic. This is the tricky part, so a couple of hours probably just steady climbing up through there, but blessed with the weather, fantastic. So about 200 metres from going through the pass. It's been a glorious day, and actually I've really enjoyed the wander up. It's been tough, it's been hot, but it's what a spot. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'll spin you around so you can see. I've just had a snack break and a drink of water there from Highland Mountain Stream. What a difference the weather makes to the whole trip. It's glorious just sitting here and contemplating time. I'll spin you around. So up there you got Skirnacine, and then that's right down the Bealach sort of gathering that we're heading through, and up to the right there's the saddle coming through all the way up to the Forcan Ridge, which we go along. There you go, what a lovely spot. Yes, just coming through the Bealach there now, between the Forcan Ridge, the saddle and Skirnacine. Pretty chuffed actually to do that. It's a big climb. It's about 3,000 foot from sea level leaving from Kinloch, so got here in less than 4 hours, which is brilliant. I'm really chuffed with that. I love coming through these Bealachs because you're now at the next Glen, and it's like, wow, down there's Glen Shiel. I've got a resupply package, morale's good, the weather's fantastic, all good. I'll step out of the way so you can have a look at the next Glen. So through that scree there's a lane of a man-made stone wall which you follow, and then you go down that way, Milador, but into there. Look at that. How delicious that, man. Fantastic. Like I say, coming through these Bealachs, it's just joyful, like. It really is. So as you come over the Bealach, actually following this stone wall down to here, it's really dangerous country, ankle breaking country. I had to pull out a few of my old parkour moves, to be honest. So that walk down from the Falcon Ridge, that man-made stone wall, was pretty brutal, to be honest. It was ankle breaking country, as I mentioned, and then the carry-on walk down past Milador down into Shiel Bridge was just as difficult. I actually walked down with a couple, so didn't do a lot of filming. Went into Kintail Crafts at Shiel Bridge, who were fantastically helpful. They had a resupply package for me, and I've checked into Morvich campsite, where I've had a shower and set up my tent. So essentially that's the end of my part 1 of my Cape Wrath Trail adventure. It was a walk in from Camusnagaul, just across from Fort William, all the way down to Shiel Bridge. Weather was difficult. I filmed when I could, and to be honest, it was a really exciting adventure. Some ups, some downs, but really great. So if you've stuck with this long, many thanks for watching. And then my next part should be Shiel Bridge to Ullapool, and then hopefully Ullapool on to Cape Wrath.